Today I want to talk into an experience I actually had this morning at my local fitness club. It was an amazing experience, actually. I was going about my normal kind of routine that I do. I generally start with a 30-minute sort of hard cardio on a stepper. I can't run anymore. My hips kind of give way. So I'm into the old man exercises of a stepper these days. And before me, there was 3 people that came into my periphery that I was watching them whilst I was training. And the first person was this guy. He's a breakdancer. And I found it amazing watching him because he's got this bright red hair and he wears, these flared out pants from the 80s, like that old movie. I can't remember the name of it. It's Breakdance or something like that. And he puts on his headphones and he creates himself a space in and amongst the gym. So he moves stuff around and he gives himself around about 5 square meters to work. And he just gets in the zone. This guy just completely, I can see the moment where he sort of switches in and just deep dives and then just totally goes there. And he starts breakdancing in the middle of the fitness club. So you've got to understand, this is a pretty conservative gym where there's sort of people going around their business and they're just doing sort of conservative type, gym exercises on machines. And this guy just walks in and just owns the space. And I watched everybody around him who was sort of like hands back and then sort of staring and a kind of, leaning over to their mate and having a bit of a chuckle and a bit of a laugh at him. He didn't care at all. He knew what was happening. I could see he was watching and he was quite conscious of what was happening. But, 3 minutes, 4 minutes in, everybody sort of passed by and sort of it had already taken their attention and they'd moved on. And he was just in his zone for about 15 to 20 minutes. I watched this guy do this incredible dancing in front of me. Then at the same time, or sort of interconnected with his workout, there was another, it was a girl who was obviously learning salsa or maybe not learning salsa, but she was remembering the dance of salsa. And she was working out and then she would come into the middle of the floor and she'd start doing salsa steps. And I was like, what's going on? What's happening today? But the same thing happened, is that people were kind of watching her and she was doing something different, something unique, something that she was really in her own, just in her heart, doing this thing as she was closing her eyes and she was just imagining the dance, doing it right out there in the middle. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. So I've got a break dancer at the back, and I've now got this girl doing salsa that's kind of half doing these sort of cross weights, so on the machines. And then she would go into this salsa dance, and then she'd go back, do some weights, and then she'd feel into the next part of the dance. I was like, this is ridiculous. And then this girl started walking down, who was obviously a CrossFitter. Anyone who knows CrossFit, you can see the kind of bodies that they have. They've got a very particular type of body because they do these particular type of exercises. Very sort of compound, lots of chin-ups and lots of squats. And now this girl started doing full handstands against the wall, and started going from like a squatted position and pushing herself up onto the wall, and was like, once again took everyone's attention, and everyone was like, wow, what is that girl doing? Then she walked around and she came down into the main kind of area where there was like a walkway where many people do, like the sled and stuff like that. And she walked up and down on her hands like someone from a circus. Like, she had that much body control. But once again, it was an attention that was, I could see people around looking sort of like, even taking small videos on the phone of this girl walking on hands. But she was once again like completely in her zone. And so all of this happened in one session. I had a girl walking on her hands, I had a break dancer at the back, and I've got some girl doing salsa in front of me. But the one thing that I left with was just being inspired by the courage of these people to just, like, I guess, dance while nobody's watching, or everybody's watching. What's the term? Is it dance like nobody's watching, and just don't care. They just didn't care about anybody else and whatever anybody else was doing. They were just totally like focused on their heart's mission. And I could see it in their eyes and I could see it in their heart, and they were just living that, just being so present, so conscious, and just not giving a toss about what anybody else thought. And it was interesting to just watch the periphery and watch people sort of laugh and snicker and talk and point and things like that. But within a couple of minutes, they'd moved on. They weren't the talking point anymore. It just became normal. So it's quite interesting. And I feel inspired by it. I feel inspired that you just got to do, you can't be afraid. Yes, you might be a talking point for a moment, but it'll pass. So you may, as you got nothing to lose, by just doing your life's best work and having the courage and the bravery to step out and to, and just to live that and be conscious of that and be present of that. So, I don't know. I just wanted to give you that story from today because it was inspiring to see 3 people who just didn't care what anybody else thought, and they were just truly present. So I hope that's inspiration for you today. But something to learn from the salsa dancer, the break dancer, and the CrossFitter. All right, thanks.